Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna, and I'm a little bit spooky, and today I am very matte and very 90s. I wanted to go for a super matte 90s makeup look, kind of inspired a little bit by Kevin Aucoin, a little bit by Jennifer Tilly. Think of a girl who listened to Tori Amos bootlegs, had a poster of Trent Reznor on their wall, wore a lot of chokers, probably had a pet lizard or tarantula, drove an El Camino, that kind of gal, wore a lot of cheetah print, low cut tops, the bra showing. That's the vibe I'm feeling. Wore combat boots. Basically, I'm going for what I wanted to be when I grew up today. Baby brown lip, brown smoky eye, just all the things. So yeah, if you want to see how I got this look using all drugstore products, just go ahead and keep on watching. And let me know down below if there's any more all drugstore looks you would like to see. Do you want to see some all high-end looks, some more 90s inspired looks, more matte looks? Let me know. And without further ado, let's get into this video and have a little coffee together and hang out. All right, so without further ado, on to the video. Let's get a good look at this mug. How cute is that? Anyway, and yes, I'm drinking Mardi Gras coffee because I bought a stockpile of it while it was still on the shelves, and it is still on the shelf. Limited edition, my ass. Community coffee. Anyway, today we got our spooky mug, and we've got some fall decorations going on, Halloween decorations going on back there. It's not the permanent setup. I just threw some stuff back there because we're unpacking it all today. But anyways, today's video is going to be a 90s all matte kind of vibe. I am giving you Jennifer Tilly vibes today with this situation. Does anybody have that one nipple that just tries to like migrate out of your shirt all the time? I'm like, get the fuck back in there. That's me. Anyways, yeah. This is the cutest little top, by the way. Let me try to show you a little bit of it. I got this at the garage sale from my friend Amy, and I thought this was just adorable and I needed it. It gives me all the 90s nostalgia, right? And I don't think this is an old top. It's from like Express or something. But yeah, and it actually fits me. It's like a medium. But I was like, I will make it work. It's like a little crop top, kind of little buttons, you know, situation. But I thought it would be cute with the bit of the lace bra showing. Jennifer Tilly vibes. And of course we had to put a little choker on to complete the 90s nostalgia vibe here. But we're gonna be doing kind of a moving into fall look, of course, and we're just gonna be doing a really all matte 90s smoky eye, matte skin, the whole 9 yards of brown lip. I'm living my 90s fantasy of what I wanted to look like when I was a kid. Right now, that's what we're gonna do. And added bonus to this video is that we're gonna use all drugstore makeup, and some of it is new favorites, some of it's old favorites, but it's all just affordable drugstore makeup products that you can go to Walgreens, Target, Walmart, CVS and pick up. Nothing that you have to order online. It's all stuff that you can find at your local drugstore kind of makeup. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with the eyes. I've already primed them, by the way, but I pulled 3 palettes because I wasn't quite sure which ones I wanted to go with. And I think I'm gonna end up going with this bite-sized e.l.f. palette. This is the Truffles edition here, and I'm thinking these 3 mattes will be absolutely perfect for this vibe. But I also pulled out from Wet n Wild my Glamour Squad palette, which is a classic. It is an amazing neutral palette from the drugstore, and its cool tone counterpart here, which is Nude Awakening, which they do have some shimmers in it, but the mattes in these little palettes right here are absolutely gorgeous. So I just pulled them to show you, and if I want to dip into them, I might. I was real tempted by both of these today. Like, I couldn't really decide which one I wanted to play with, but this is my Glamour Squad up here, which is a dupe of the Glam palette from ABH. And then we have the more cool tone version down here, Nude Awakening, which is probably similar to the Sultry palette, honestly, now that I think about it. But yeah, these are fantastic neutral palettes if you just want something easy from the drugstore, and the quality is phenomenal on these. Like, I have no complaints. Oh, I feel like my Glamour Squad would look good with this top, wouldn't it? No, we're gonna go with the e.l.f. Truffles palette. Keep it simple and easy, not overwhelmed with options, but I just wanted to show you those two because they're great matte eyeshadows from Drugstore, and you get some beautiful shimmers in there as well. But you really can't beat these little bite-sized palettes, especially like something like this. It's so just neutral and easy, and you have a beautiful kind of taupey silver type of shade here. Gorgeous palette. This is just like perfect one and done type of guy. And for the rest of the face, I've pulled some other Drugstore favorites, which we'll get to when we get to that point in the look. Let's go ahead and get started on the eyes. And my skincare is also Drugstore, by the way. I use the Believe Beauty Hydrating Gel Cream, which you can find at your local Dollar General. And my brows is the CoverGirl Micro Brow Pencil. And first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump into this shade right here, which is the kind of lightest brown neutral shade. It's kind of a light neutral camel. I think that girl shade would describe this as a puppy dog brown. And even though that doesn't make like a whole lot of sense, I understand what she means by that, you know? Let's go ahead and just start to pull this through the transition lightly at first, and we'll kind of build from there. This is a good shade just for every day because it just gives you a nice little bit of a contour to the eye, but it's not too dark. It's just kind of just right. It's almost like a bronzer tone, just a little bit deeper, or a bit of a contour type of shade. And, you know, I think this shade should go all over the lid. But before I do that, I actually want to go in some eyeliner. I pulled two liners here. These are from Maybelline. These are the Tattoo Studio eyeliners. And I think I'm going to take the black eyeliner and just kind of put a little bit right in the lashes just to get that going. And then we'll maybe make things a little smudgier from there and see where it goes. I kind of like starting out looks with eyeliner now. But I meant to do this before I did the brown shade, but I forgot. So let me just throw this on real quick. Just right into the lashes a bit. But these are good, just basic gel liners from the Drugstore. They do transfer a tad, but they're not awful, and they are pretty long wearing. And I'm gonna smudge it into a little bit of a lifted kind of wing shape, but we're not gonna do like a distinct wing. Just gonna get a little bit of a base down for our other shades. Some darkness. Hearing a little dog scampering around outside the door. She wouldn't come in here with me, and I shut the door so my husband doesn't have to hear me talking to myself in here. And you know, just for sound quality, it's better with the door shut. I can hear her scampering up and down the hall because she wants to be in here, but she doesn't want me to shut the door. She hates when you shut a door to a room. She wants to be able to go back and forth and be nosy. And that little turd. We took her to the vet today to get her nails done, to get them clipped, you know. And every time I warn them, she's gonna poop on you. She has a nervous stomach, and her reflex is to shit on you. She will poop on you when she's upset. And every time she poops on the vet tech, and I warn them beforehand. Only one time they've heeded my warning and wrapped her butt in a towel first. But yep, poor techs get pooped on every time. But you can't say I didn't warn them. I tell them when I hand her over, I'm like, she's gonna poop on you. Be careful. She has a nervous tummy. But I met a really sweet lab at the vet, and he was a cuddle butt. He just wanted to be everybody's friend. I love big old Labradors. They're just angels. All right, I'm gonna go with a little bit of a more pointed crease brush, and we'll take a little bit more of that brown shade. Just that mid-tone brown. Work that in a little more. And I'm gonna start to pull that one to the lid, actually. I just love how I changed my mind like midway doing a video. I'm gonna do this, actually. I love it too. So take that all over the lid. I like to use a flat brush like this. This is a Morphe M24. I think they lay down product really well into the lid because they're not too slippery. If that makes sense. It has some grip to it, so it can pick up the product and deposit it really well. I find some flat brushes are just too like slick and the product doesn't want to lay down good. Those I prefer like for concealer or something, liquids. Now I'm going to get back to my little pointed crease brush now. We're going to go into this darker brown right here. I'm gonna start to build that into the crease and outer V. I'm just gonna let that flow out. Alright, get back to the fluffy brush and a bit more of the lighter brown. Come around them edges. Everything nice and blended. Alright, and I'm gonna get back to my little flat brush here and take some of the black shade in this palette. This on the end right here. This black has a slight satin to it. It's not totally super duper in your face matte. There's a very subtle satin within it just to aid in blending, but it's not gonna read as satin on the eye. I'm gonna take this at the lash line like this and then come up in that outer corner. Alright, and we'll get back in with that mid-tone brown if you just need to soften the gradient a little bit. You can take your pointed crease as well. Just really kind of work that in. Take a little bit more of that darkest brown. Just really blend in that black, which I mean that's an easy black to blend. This palette is very easy to work with for such deep shades. They're not hard to work with and the pigmentation is kind of just spot on. I mean they definitely rival a high-end palette any day. Especially the green one. Oh my god, it's so good. Alright. Now we clean up any fallout I have on the lower lash line real quick. And for that, I'm just going to use my Q-tip and some face primer. And my primer today, I'm just going to use the Wet n Wild Impossible Primer because I have it in front of me because I'm still testing it. I did a wear test with it, but I want to do another one. Test it with some different foundations because I think I was just having an off skin day that day. I'm just going to take that right here and tidy up. Another palette that this would be beautiful with is the Vive Essentials palette. That one would be fantastic for this look. I wanted to do just keeping it drugstore. I use that palette so much. I know you guys are gonna be sick of seeing it. And I see she's coming out with a new one. I'm very excited. Very excited. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and just prime all over. And another reason I'm using this one is because it does claim to mattify and hydrate at the same time. Sure, Jen. I'm still not 100% on those claims. Like, it's a lot of promises. Right, let me give that a minute to kind of soak in. And we'll move on to the complexion. Alright, and for skin, I'm going to use the 24-Hour Fresh Wear from L'Oreal. This is an old favorite, like a classic holy grail type product. And because it is very skin-like but not overly matte, like it's just the perfect option for today. Like it's just the best. And this is in the shade 405. Yeah, in the winter I usually wear Pearl, but I have a little bit of color, just a hair bit of color from summer. So I'm porcelain rather than Pearl. Alright, and I just grabbed a couple pumps in the back of my hand. And I'm going to use the e.l.f. Flawless Face Sponge to apply it, which is fantastic. Face sponge, one of the best at the drugstore. And I'm not going to do full coverage really, I'm just going to even out my skin tone. I'm not a full coverage girl, but this is such a beautiful foundation that you can, really no matter your preference, it's one that's going to work for you because it's just so kind of versatile. You can really sheer it out, you can get full coverage from it if you need it. It's not dewy, it's not matte, it's just right there in the middle across the board, and it's so long wearing and so beautiful on the skin. It's very perfecting but very lightweight. It's just a truly great foundation. Like, I mean, it definitely rivals every high-end foundation I have. And the fact that I own it in multiple shades to match me year round, I think has to say something about how much I like it. That I've purchased it in a summer shade for myself. I like how my summer shade is just truly ghostly also. And I think when people think of the 90s, they think of like the super thin brows, but that was really more late 90s, early 2000s that was a thing. And I mean, there was a few people in the early 90s that had the really stick thin brows, and it wasn't as prevalent though as it was later on. Like I think you had like Drew Barrymore and a few people that did that look, and they were very like rounded, kind of 1920s style. And that was a thing, that was a trend, but it wasn't as common. Most of like the models you saw and celebrities had very bushy, fluffy, natural brows, very kind of ungroomed brows, and that was a little bit left over from the late 80s style. So I kind of went with that with the brows today, because girl, I'm not plugging my brows or making them look any thinner. That's just not going to happen here. I did that back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Completely plucked all my eyebrows off and just had like a line, and I had that for quite a long time, and then I shaved most of my brows off later on because I would do like goth brows and draw them in and have them going, you know, the look. And it's still a look, and I don't hate it. It's just not for me. I like my natural brows, and I've worked very hard to get them back. Look, see how the skin still just looks like skin? It's just evened out, and I'm not doing heavy coverage, but it's not dewy, but it's not super flat matte either. It's just right. But I can build the coverage where I need it, like right here on my cheeks where some redness is peeping through. The concealer, I'm gonna go with Incognito Concealer from Wet n Wild. This is a fantastic concealer, and it's so affordable. It's like insanely cheap, and it is long wearing, absolutely beautiful, full coverage. It is very much on par with NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer to me in its performance. It's gorgeous. It is nowhere near like a Tarte Shape Tape or anything like that. Definitely that kind of very flawless looking product, but it's not heavy, it's not cakey. I don't think it emphasizes any texture in my eyes. It's very, honestly, I think it's better than the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which used to be my holy grail concealer for a long time. But I think this one actually just sits better under my eyes. And I don't have like a lot of lines under my eyes necessarily, or any, the one part of my face, or that I'm kind of fortunate, is the under eye area. I don't get a lot of creasing or anything under there. So if something does cause creasing under there, it's a problem. But this one is just, it looks absolutely flawless under the eye to me. I'm just gonna put a little bit right here, a little out here, and this is the shade Fair Beige, and this has a matte, somewhat skin-like finish. It's not super flat matte either. It's very similar to the foundation in its finish, to where it has that, you know, skin likeness to it still, but it doesn't have necessarily like shine. And just, I mean, look how pretty that is. It's just a flawless product, and it has such good coverage. And it's one that you could definitely build up if you needed to, or do a really light application like I did. Which, I mean, that's not like the lightest application in the world, but it's pretty light. I just like to brighten the under eyes with it, and I think it does such a good job at brightening. I'm gonna take a little bit down the center of the nose as well, and on my chin where some redness, and the center of the forehead. The center of my forehead and like right in this region is usually where I can really tell if a product's gonna sit nice or not, because I have more texture right there than I do under my eyes from good old acne. Another great drugstore concealer to consider would definitely be the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I like the matte one too, but the hydrating one is just absolutely amazing. And it's not dewy either. It's more has a bit of a reflect to it. This very subtle. It's very also similar to the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Just a little bit more hydrating than this product. But this isn't a drying product either. They're not too terribly dissimilar. And of course, Maybelline Age Rewind. That's another one that you just really can't beat as far as the beautiful concealer under the eye, especially on more mature skin. It just sits so gorgeously. Okay, looking highlighted and flawless there. So now let's powder. And of course, powder was very important in the 90s. You didn't want to be shiny. And for my powder, I'm going to use the number 7 loose, perfect light loose powder in translucent. This is one of my holy grail setting powders, high-end, drugstore, whatever. It's fantastic. It's not the cheapest at the drugstore, but it's not, you know, it's not high-end priced either. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this under the eye, the loose version. I also have this in the pressed, and the pressed is lovely as well. And this is one of those products that's not shimmery or anything, but it has that light reflective technology within it, to where they just make things look airbrushed and flawless, but they're not, you know, shiny or anything like that. I don't want to bake. I haven't done like baking it forever on my face. Right, and for the rest of the face, to set it down, I'm going to use the number 7 Lift and Illuminate. Yeah, I know it says illuminate, but it's not shiny. It's just a beautiful, beautiful powder. But there's no actual shine to it. This one is the dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury. And it just really does give a airbrushed, beautiful finish to the skin. And this also knocks away any excess powder from what I applied. The other one. For bronze, I'm going to go for my City Bronzer from Maybelline. I'm going to take that on a big old bronzing brush here. This is a Sony Kashuk tapered powder brush, I believe is what it's called. And this is such a powdery product. You really got to tap it off and be a little bit more gingerly with it. Because while the depth isn't deep on this product, it can apply a lot of just the pigments and look a bit yellow to me. So this one definitely is more of a, not a flawless product, but it's not a bad product either. You just gotta know how to work with it. What I like about it is that the shade is somewhat unique for the drugstore. It has much more of a high-end, nuanced color selection within the city bronzers. And I'm also gonna take this on a fluffy brush. Same one we use on the eyes. I'm just gonna clean it off and come around this edge right here and really soften that out. And in this inner part as well. It's just a subtle thing, but it to me makes it look very finished. And I like to pull the bronzer kind of out right here, or contour, whichever I'm using. So I'm gonna pull in a contour in just a minute because I want to look sculpted, because 90's makeup is very sculpted makeup. 90's model Kevin Aucoin makeup anyway. You never mixing a little Jennifer Tilly in there, and see, if I was going full Jennifer Tilly, I would need the pencil thin brows. That woman was an icon, or is an icon. She's still, man, she's gorgeous. I always had like a crush on her. Now, a nice little contouring product, especially for the pale girl, is this one from Essence. This is a contouring duo. You can get this at Ulta, and I do think CVS has it on their Essence display most of the time. But it is just a really nice little contour palette. The shade's really pretty. It's kind of perfect. This is just a little e.l.f. highlighting brush, but I like it for contour. It's like a huge blending brush. And this again is also a super powdery, soft product, so you kind of got to be careful. But it looks fine on the skin. Not a holy grail. I think NYX does better contour products. But this is like $30, and it's pretty damn good. So if you want to save a little money. But otherwise, I would recommend NYX for their contouring products. I just don't have any right now. I've decluttered them because I haven't purchased any new ones. And I picked this up instead to try out. It's tired of using the same products over and over. And sometimes I just want to branch out and try something new. And don't hate this one. I'm going to use this to kind of create a little more structure within that jaw, within the cheekbones. A little more concentrated than the way I applied the bronzer. But this is in the lightest selection. I think they had it about 3. I would say this one is actually a good dupe for the KVD Shade and Light little duos. I think this one's pretty spot on to the lightest one. Which I have the big palette, but I don't have the little minis. But yeah, very sculpted. And don't worry, I know it looks a little abrupt. Don't worry, we'll fix it a bit. And of course we gotta get around that jaw though. Oh, that jawline. Alright, and I'm to take just a little bit of this kind of right here on the 5 head. Like, this is one of those products I haven't even used that much, and I can already see like the imprint of the pan coming through. Same with that City bronzer. They're just too powdery. They're too loosely pressed. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this down the nose and sculpt right into here. This. It's more contouring than I've done lately a lot. Recently, a lot more. I've been just more like just doing the bronzer, the contour, and not really doing separate products. It's been very kind of minimal and easy with my makeup. Minimal for me anyway. Not using 110 products in the same day. All right, cool. Now let's finish up the eyes and then we'll return to the skin. For the lower lash line, I'm gonna take some more of that black eyeliner. The Maybelline Tattoo Studio Gel Liner, and best pencil sharpener on the market is the NARS pencil sharpener. It's only $7, so it's not like you're breaking the bank over it, but it's a damn good pencil sharpener. It's worth the $7. I haven't had any trouble with it. Look at that. Yeah, every other sharpener I've had, that would have broke off and been awful. And it's so good. It's so good. Highly recommend it. Alright, so I'm going to line my lower lash line a bit here. I'm not going to get into the waterline though. I just don't think that suits me to do that. I'm just going to kind of focus it more on the outer corner, a bit in here. And then I'm going to smudge once again with my little smudge brush. This is a Shop Miss A brush. There's so many great little pencil brushes in the Shop Miss A brush sets. And I'm always on the hunt for that perfect pencil brush. It's like just one of those little things. I'm always trying out new ones. And when you find a good one, it's so exciting. Especially if it's from Shop Miss A. I'm really just keeping that right to the lash line. I'll let that join up to the outer corner as well. Get a hint of a reverse cat eye here. Just a hint of one. Not very distinct. Alright, I'm going to clean that little brush off and go back to my e.l.f. palette here, Truffles. I'm going to take the darkest brown right here, take it off, and I'm going to work it right along. I'm not even looking at a freaking mirror. My god. I keep just looking away from the mirror and doing this. Why? Look at the mirror, dummy. I guess I can go by feel. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of the black now on the same little brush and focus that on the outer part, around this outer V here, or outer corner of the eye, and kind of let that all marry together. Alright, now I'm going to take the little flat brush from earlier and just kind of run that along. I think it's looking blended. This is also a really good lower lash line brush. Alright, now I'm going to grab a small fluffy brush. It's very floppy. I'm going to take that lightest brown in the palette and just smoke things out a bit. You know, I think the waterline would look good lined. So at this point, I'm going to see what needs maybe a little touching up. I kind of feel like I want to take a little bit more of the dark brown and just kind of come right in a little bit more. So we're going pretty damn smoky here. Maybe a little less model, more grunge. Now, obviously, if I wasn't doing an all matte look, I would take this taupe shimmer and pop that on the lid right there in that little inner part. But I'm gonna take my brush I used to apply my powder. Just come right under here. Make sure all that looks really soft. For mascara, I pulled the Big Mood from e.l.f. So I'm gonna curl my lashes. And go in with our mascara. If you wanted to be accurate, you'd use Maybelline Great Lash in that pink and green tube. That would be the most historically accurate mascara. You guys are going for like 90s cool girl vibes. You know, the girl listening to Tori Amos and 9 Inch Nails, that girl. Me. She had a Tool poster on her wall. A poster of Trent Reznor. She probably drove an El Camino. And she definitely was in love with Peter Steele. Watched a lot of 120 Minutes on MTV. Brows. Let's touch up these brows, and I'm going to use my NYX brow tint pen and my e.l.f. brow pomade, wherever that went off to. There it is. With a little bit of setting spray. I think we'll just speed through this because you know the routine. Brows are done. Let's go ahead and do the lips, and then we will kind of decide what level of blush to do. But I want to go ahead and get the lips on first because they're really quite deep and quite vampy. So we're going to use the lip liner from e.l.f. This is from the this is from the Electric Mood collection. This is in, I can't remember the shade. It is just a lip liner. It has a shade name. I don't remember what it is. But it's this really dark browny purple almost tone. A really, really deep brown with a bit of a purple in it. So we're going to use that to line the lips. It's a perfect 90s lip liner. And for the lipstick, we're going to use the Maybelline Ultimate lipstick in the shade More Truffle. A lot of truffle going on today. I like things that are named Truffle and Raisin. It's my favorite shades to go for, apparently. This is just a really pretty kind of brownie mauve shade. I love this color. Well, it's more just a true brown, rather. Very matte, but very comfortable. Very thin, long wearing. Beautiful product. And for blush, we're going to go in with the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush, and this is in Always Spicy. And I'm going to do a light hand with this and kind of see what we need, because I now look pretty ghostly right now. But I'm going to start light hand and then work our way up and see how it goes. And this is a very deep terracotta blush. Kind of not too far off from the lip. And one of the best blush formulas from the drugstore. Super pigmented, so always kind of use a light hand with the Primer Infused blushes. They are very generously pigmented, which is fantastic. That means more than just ghosts can use them. This color just has that nice kind of 90s feel to it. Terracotta and mauve blushes were just the thing. I remember those being very popular colors vividly in my mother's makeup collection, for sure. She wore lots of mauves and terracotta tones, and that very kind of sculpted placement of blush. I'm going to take just a little bit of it and go right here in the outer corner of the eye and work that in. You hear some scratchy noises? That is Pumpkin rolling around on the carpet like a doofus. She's just rubbing her face on the carpet and scratching around. She does that. Silly thing. Guess it feels good. Alright, cool. Let's adjust the hair here, shall we? Tried to kind of straighten it, but I hate straightening my hair, so I didn't really. But I just gotta give it a little blowout. Alright, and this is our look. All complete. What do you think? Do we feel 90s? Do we feel like we listen to a lot of Tori Amos bootlegs and have a poster of Trent Reznor on our wall? That's what this look says to me. But I think it came out pretty good, and I love with the outfit and the choker and everything. It's very fitting and very me. This was basically me in high school, even though I didn't go to high school in the 90s. I was just kind of stuck in time. So yeah, anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today and seeing how we got this 90s inspired all matte look. And let me know down below in the comments if there are any other looks you would like to see. I am down for it. I love doing makeup looks, and yeah, let me know if you want to see some more just truly drugstore devoted or just all high-end tutorials. here for it, let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye now.